Hey everyone. I want to begin by asking each of you what you think is the most important characteristic for a person to have to be successful in their educational journey. Is it simply a high IQ? Maybe it's good test taking ability, or perhaps they have a healthy support network that encourages them to make good grades. Maybe a person's success depends on the quality of the teachers and the education system they're in. Maybe you even have another idea for what you think is the most important. Well, as you go through, you guys can go ahead and click on which one you think might be the most important, or maybe it's something else. Well, while all of those things are definitely important and can greatly impact a student's educational journey, Angela Duckworth, a researcher and a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, would say it's something else entirely. Duckworth has formulated the idea that grit is something that sets students apart and can make the difference for students instead of talent, luck, or anything else. Angela Duckworth is the daughter of two Chinese immigrants, and she recognizes that her father placed a high value on achievement and success. While it isn't necessarily a bad thing to pursue success, Duckworth shares in an interview with Brene Brown that her father's ideas of success only had to do with an individual's talents, giftings, or their intelligence. Duckworth remembers reflecting as a child that there's got to be something else to the equation of achievement in life than whether things really come easily to you. This mindset is what would eventually lead Duckworth to studying and concluding that grit is tremendously important in the success of an individual. Duckworth defines grit as the combination of passion and perseverance over really long periods. She doesn't boil down success to just continuing to do something until you achieve it, and she even disagrees with the common 10,000-hour rule that spending that much time on something will make you an expert. Duckworth takes it deeper than that. Grit, to her, is finding the things that you love to do. It takes time and even sampling. And now, what she means by sampling is spending some time trying something new. It might be an instrument or a sport, but you might not develop a passion for it, and that's okay. In this instance, persevering in the activity that you don't have a passion for will not likely lead to success. On the other hand, when you can intentionally find something that you love and then commit the time, the energy, and the resources into that, so that's where we see passion and then perseverance, you are showing grit, and this can lead to success. Duckworth also emphasizes the importance of stamina. Mastering an instrument or maybe getting to play a sport at the collegiate or professional level are not things that you can accomplish within weeks or months of work. Instead, they require years, if not decades, of practice. Let's watch this video on why Angela Duckworth finds grit important.
In my research studies, I find that grit is very, very different from talent or IQ. In other words, it's not that if you know how gritty someone is, you know how smart they are, and vice versa. In most of my research studies, I find that grit and measures of talent are really unrelated. And that actually emphasizes why it is that grit predicts achievement in situations like graduating from high school or finishing training at West Point or even winning the National Spelling Bee. It's because talent is not enough to achieve our goals and our dreams. It is also important to sustain hard work and to sustain our commitment, our interest in things over long periods of time.
So all this sounds great, right? Let's find a passion like playing soccer or the guitar or baking, and let's dedicate time and pursue excellence in mastering the skill, and boom, now we're successful. Well, as easy and great as this sounds, showing grit is not a cookie cutter way to be successful, or else there would probably be a lot more people who are experts at the things that interest them. Duckworth also explains that grit involves being resilient. Resiliency is, as she says, response to adversity, and it's important in the times when things just might not be going your way. She also says that being resilient is hunting for the small thing that you can control in those difficult circumstances. Duckworth shares that resiliency is a part of the package of grit, along with being passionate about what you're doing. Resiliency and passion must align with your core values of who you are as a person to produce meaningful results of grit. Duckworth emphasizes the need to define your values and the importance of keeping these values in mind as you go about your day, and especially when you are spending time being intentional about the things that you're involved in. I think this is where we can see grit make its way into the education system. Dr. Jennifer Bashant summarized some research of Angela Duckworth's, and one of the main ways that grit is developed in individuals, especially in students, is when there is unity among teachers with their definition of grit, and when they collaborate to get the students on the same page with their goals and values. Now, not all of the students' goals or even their values need to be the same, but her research found that what created grit, or maybe even more importantly, what created opportunities for conversations about grit, was providing support for students and reminding them of their values. Bashant says schools should devote more, not less, intentional effort to develop grit in students. Teaching grit means helping students understand how to set and achieve their goals. When we teach students how to regulate their attention, emotions, and behavior, we empower them to pursue goals that are most important to them. Duckworth boils down a grit-involved school to being demanding yet supportive. She's seen more success and grit in students who are pushed by their teachers as they also show support and belief in them, rather than schools where kids are left to fend for themselves. Demanding yet supported academic settings really pair well with project-based learning, where students have autonomy in their learning. When the students get to decide what they're doing, this is most likely going to come from what they're passionate about and what they value. This is going to then produce more perseverance. When teachers can get on board in this process and have a high expectation of a student, but also push them to high standards, grit is going to be cultivated in the student. An even more tangible way that grit can be developed in the classroom is by providing meaningful assignments and meaningful feedback. Duckworth shares that many students struggle with feeling like a failure when they don't think they have a proper understanding of a task, assignment, or even a subject. Feelings of failure often discourage the students because they don't understand that learning can take a long time and often even involves failure. When teachers can provide work that is meaningful and not just busy work, and especially when they can follow up this meaningful work with intentional feedback, this can aid the learning process and is one way to help grow grit in their students. So let's review really quick. Can you remember what the definition of grit is? It's a combination of what two things over a period of time? Yeah, hopefully you got that right and can fill this in. So grit is a combination of passion. Oops. Grit is the combination of passion and perseverance over long periods of time. Goodness. So here's an activity I want you to try on your own as you're going through this PowerPoint. Angela Duckworth has actually come up with two different grit strength tests that are available on her website to determine your own quote unquote grittiness, I guess. She has an 8 question reflection and a 12 question reflection, but I chose to do the 8 question to keep it a little bit shorter. If you're really interested in knowing maybe how gritty you are, you can find this on her personal website and do the 12 question test. So what you'll need to do is slide through these 8 questions, rank where you think you fall in comparison to the general public. So statement one is new ideas and projects sometimes distract me from previous ones. So within that, you're going to go and answer, is that very much like me, mostly like me, somewhat like me, not much like me, or not like me at all? So that's number one. Number two says setbacks don't discourage me. Number three, I've been obsessed with a certain idea or project for a short time, but later lost interest. Number four, I am a hard worker. Number five, I often set a goal, but later choose to pursue a different one. Number six, I have difficulty maintaining my focus on projects that take more than a few months to complete. Number seven, I finish whatever I begin. Number eight, I am diligent. So once you finish these 8 questions, after you finish the grit strength test, you need to go back and assign point values to the different questions based on this slide. So for number 2, number 4, 7, and 8, the points go from 5 down to 1. And on the other hand, 1, 3, 5, and 6, the points go from 1 all the way up to 5. So on your own, you're going to go back and take this test, tally up your point totals, and then you're going to divide by 8 to find to average your score, and that's going to give you a rough estimate of how gritty you might be. The closer you are to 5 is the more gritty, and the closer you are to 1 will indicate less grittiness. So, to summarize what we've learned, we saw that Angela Duckworth wasn't content with success only being viewed from the lens of inherent skills or traits, but she instead believes that grit, which is the combination of passion and perseverance over a long time, can be cultivated by individuals to be successful. Grit can play an important role in the educational development of students. Teachers, administrators, and support staff can all help foster grit by emphasizing the role of what the students value and by pushing the students to meet their goals and pursue their passions. If you're interested in looking up any of these works that I used, this is the reference page. There's some really great stuff, a lot of YouTube videos out there, great podcast with Brene Brown as well. Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed.